So you're angry and you don't know what to do about it. Don't worry. Papa Ryan's got you. Welcome, it's Ryan, Mids Watch. You know the deal. This one is a good one. I don't do these often because the initial anger phase on guys is kind of like you've been there, you've done it, you say you process. But I guess for a lot of you guys, you may be new to the channel and you don't know about constructive ways to handle your anger because, you know, women won't tell you. They'll just yell at you and tell you to stop being angry. Nobody will yell at you. Nobody will help you about it. They won't tell you what to do. They just don't want you angry. And so they shame you for it. So luckily, there's a bunch of assholes here in this locker room, and they'll help you get to it better. Anyways, this guy, feel like I need to tell you who I am and why I'm here. Post happy hour. No doubt I'll cringe tomorrow and probably delete this. From the most popular user in the Married Red Pill. Account deleted. Just come home from a happy hour get together with 6 couples and me. I have created and deleted 6 Reddit accounts with labels representing some religious implications. Why? Don't know. I don't have any faith anymore. In fact, I'm the angriest man you'll ever meet, although I keep hoping the anger is temporary. I have to admit that this anger is running through the red pill that keeps bringing me back. Embarrasses me to admit, but I guess Schadenfreude is what really draws me in. I read it, and I feel I am not so pathetic after all. Plus, I miss my favorite posters. And he's brand, holy jeez. I don't know if you recognize any of these names, but he's talking about Maddie Anon, Training the Brain, and that one guy Invoker or something who makes indiscriminate use of the word a British pile of sticks. So belligerent, very amusing. I should say, however, I'm a widower 8 months. I hate the term, but there it is. Trying to emerge from a soul-crushing grief, and I haven't been incapacitated, but I've been close. Compared to the marriages I see described here, mine was sublime. We met in college, took turns supporting each other through law school, had 4 kids, all 4 were a joy, like every day was a holiday, every meal was a banquet. For real, my youngest daughter would say, and she is so like my late last wife that I can't even look at her right now and speak sometimes. Why am I even on Reddit? My youngest daughter told me it would help me understand the zeitgeist of young women and I need to develop some game. She says her current boyfriend has no game. I am actually too sincere. Been on a few dates. My 4 children try to push me out there. Never had any trouble meeting women even when I was married, which remains true. But I have to say I don't understand these 30-year-olds at all. Both of my dates were younger than me, one 28, one 31. He's in his mid-50s, by the way. They just give it all away. I guess that's adult dating. So I guess I don't meet the I'm marriage or long-term relationship guideline, but thanks for listening to me while I get my shit together. I don't wish this on any of you. So this isn't going to mean anything to you, but this is my favorite guy in the Married Red Pill. I've talked about my favorite field reports. This was Frenchie. He's probably been, and he's completely unique in that everybody, you know how she's not yours and it's just your turn? He's the only guy I knew of who had the perfect marriage, the perfect wife. They did everything that's an example of not what the Red Pill guys tell you on Twitter. And then his wife died. And now he has to get over it. Jack and I actually start a pretty big beef over this guy's thing here pretty soon. So it's going to be interesting. You guys are going to love how this is, if you've been watching the Mids Watches that come out around the summer, you'll probably already know where this piece is going, but it's nice. So I'll do Jack's thing and then I'll tell you some stories afterwards. I think you'll really like it because this is truly like a gem. From parsing your post, you have a romanticized view of your marriage. I'm sure you were happy, but the sudden death of a loved one who died before they're old is a whole new level of grief. You probably compare everybody you've met to your late wife, and that's going to be hard enough to deal with. It'll be impossible for them to match up to it. Since there is no ultimate good to defer to, you have to know what you want so that you can ask yourself the right questions. And he goes, I get it. So we have these like very constructive ways of dealing with this anger. Here's like a couple lists. 1, find some safe space to cry this shit out. The most vulnerable expressions of despair, anxiety, or sadness have not been with my wife, they've been with my friends. And I'm sure all of your friends have told you at some point, please let me know if there's anything I can do. Well, take them up on that offer. Call your buddies, hey man, I'm feeling shitty, and if we just hung out, I'd feel less shitty. Are you free? That's it. I'm sure you felt like you're not very good company, maybe you've been withdrawn, and that's, but that's why your friends offered. Plus, the idea that hanging out with somebody is helping you, even if just brooding and sipping a beer while you're crying and a thing, is more than enough for them. The traits you probably enjoyed with your wife are her high self-esteem and low neuroticism. I would recommend avoiding the age 27 to 34 demographic because they will literally be the exact opposite. They will give it up early and then become obsessed with the idea of getting married if you keep dating them for more than a few weeks. If you're looking for meaningful but gradual romantic relationships, those women aren't your best bet. Aim younger or aim older. So if I remember several years ago telling my sister to stop sleeping with guys on the first date, but also stop making them plan the second. Take sex off the table, get a couple dates, but don't make these guys play some fucking obstacle course of drinks and dinners and content on some misguided idea that you're worth it even if you don't put out. If you had a good first date, make it clear you're interested in a second, and if he suggests dinner, suggest you just come to his place and cook for him instead. Seriously. Cook a guy a decent meal on the second date, he'll be okay waiting for sex until the third. Now I would imagine you would like something like this: meaningful but gradual romantic companionship, clearly a woman that is interested sexually, but some of them will also present attraction in other ways. This is what I mean by high self-esteem, low neuroticism. If she's interesting enough, putting in her own work in the early dating period, and is otherwise physically affectionate, then you're less likely to have these moments where you wake up and think, I just had sex with a woman I don't think I liked that much. And there's no morality in the statement here. When I got divorced, I very much wanted to have sex with a lot of women, and liking them was a tertiary criteria at best. But if you don't care to spin plates, don't. Your daughter just doesn't like seeing her dad feeling lonely and thinks some companionship will help, and the most direct way to get good at dating. If that is enjoyable for you, then do it, and if not, don't. So I hope you keep your post here, because it's not just you owning your shit, but it really is a perspective. That's Jack. There's me. I get it. It really is his problem. Every girl he was ever dating, he was comparing them to his deceased wife. None of them matched up. Jack's telling him, like, go for what you want. And my advice to him at the time, because this is the one thing I'm good at, is this specific type situation. I'm like, you need to embrace the hate fuck. He goes, what the hell are you talking about? And I'm like, right now, because you loved your wife, you have that association with loving somebody and liking somebody and putting that together into a sexual package. None of these girls are going to match up to her. In fact, they're pretty shitty compared to her, right? He goes, yeah. It's like, do it and not like them. It's okay. A little sport fucking. It won't be bad. Jack hated that advice, but he tried it. He's like, it actually makes it easier. Once I realize I don't have to try and replace what's missing in my life, and I just enjoy them for what they are, neurotic, horrible messes. They were probably pretty good in bed, and I don't have to like them, and that's okay. And he kind of enjoyed it, and it's good. He got the stuff out of his system. He's moved on, by the way, to have like great field reports for us. If you've been on the channel for any length of time, you've probably heard me talk about the guy whose wife had a crush on the football coach. That's this guy. That's Frenchie. He drove a Beamer, but you kind of hold it against him. Yeah, we've talked. He was, pretty well put together man anyway. There was that girl I've mentioned on her, Claire, the one who read through all the red pill stuff and kind of used it to process her getting cheated on by her finance bro boyfriend, got married within the year. He was helping her out on this one too. It's like how to do this and how to do that and how to get past this stuff. He talked a lot about money. He and Fire Tempered were the two older guys, and so they kind of put together that Treasury article. So that was pretty good. And eventually what had happened is he started vacationing in the Appalachians, and he had found some artisanal bread maker. She was like 45 or something like that. He would have probably been 62 at the time. And then he just settled down and he had his plate. He would go there, a couple times a year and fool around with them and make bread. And he's like, I never would have thought my rich city type ass would be dating this hippie granola artisanal bread maker. But he was happy and it was good. And then he eventually left. But he was probably one of the best examples. And the one thing he taught me that I will pass on to you guys is he was like really good at mentorship. And I remember this one thing he used to do where he could take the angriest guy and make them do better. And his reasoning for that was, I'm just going to assume the guy I'm talking to wants to be better. And people don't like to argue. Like if you're telling somebody how great they are, nobody's going to argue with you. And so he goes, yeah, I just treat them like they're great, talk to them as if they're going to be great. And more often than not, they would rather not argue the point and just agree with me. It was amazing. It was a really good, And I thought I was good at mentorship, but he's still like, you're still learning things. Anyways, it's pretty neat. So he eventually moved on. He actually spoke French too, which was neat. He learned it in high school, and I had my shitty Quebecois. So anyways, he was a really good guy. I don't know where he's at now. He's got to be pulling 70 years old, enjoying his twilight years somewhere, eating some artisanal bread, full red pill, everything you could ever want to know. So yeah, don't worry about this. Don't worry about the lonely old man. If you don't get a girl, you're just gonna be alone and lonely. The guy was widowed in his 50s, and he somehow pulled himself together. It's not hard. You never have to worry about being alone. You never have to be like guys in previous watches who have to trade their dignity for the ability to keep their kids in the house or any of this shit. It's like, you will be fine. He was fine, and he went through a lot more than you did.